Hi everyone. I want to ask you a question, and it is this. What does it mean to you if someone talks about your core? So have a little ponder on that. What immediately kind of springs to mind as you think about your core? So for a lot of us, it is going to be a word that we've heard from the world of fitness. And it's very likely, I don't know about you, when I hear the word core, I immediately think of strengthening. There's a lot of information and sort of things you can do to strengthen your core, right? And that is really important work. And your core, that idea of your core is likely to encompass your abdominal muscles, so your belly muscles, also your lower back muscles, maybe even the muscles in the sides of your waist, right? Sometimes it can include your glutes. It really depends a little bit on who you're talking to as to what exactly gets defined as the core. So in terms of somatic movement work, I tend to think of the core as the centre of the body. Probably not a big surprise there. And my focus when I'm thinking of those big muscles in the centre of the body, for me, belly, back, sides, what we're focusing on is learning to use the muscles and release the muscles there more efficiently, more effectively. And actually, I tend to avoid the word core altogether in somatic movement, and instead I use the word centre. And that is partly because it has fewer connections with that kind of fitness and strengthening sort of world. I don't want people to be trying to strengthen their core when they're doing somatic movement. But it's also because using the word centre allows us to be a little bit less specific about exactly what I'm referring to when I use that word. Now that might sound counterintuitive. Don't you want your teacher to be like super specific about things? But actually, I'm asking you to tune in to your body sensations. And so where you sense things is really for the expert in your own body to decide. And that is actually you, of course. So coming back to thinking about the centre and those muscles in the centre, or the core, however you like to think of it. So in and of itself, releasing the muscles in the centre has huge impacts. So you can have a go at this if you want, but if you do, just take it easy. For example, if you tighten your belly muscles right now, how easy is it for you to breathe? And then imagine carrying that kind of tension around in your centre, in your belly, maybe other areas in the centre. Imagine carrying that around with you all day and the effect that it might have just on your breathing. There will be other effects too. Or, again, you can have a go at this, just take it easy. Imagine your lower back muscles tightening up. Put your hand on your lower back. Can you tighten those muscles? What do you feel under your hand? And if it feels accessible to you, then you can try bending forwards as if you were trying to pick something up from the floor with tight lower back muscles. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. You can just imagine it and thinking about if you're trying to bend forward and your lower back muscles are tight, then there's going to be a lot of unnecessary effort if we're not able to release those central muscles in the lower back. Because how can you bend forwards if your back is tight, right? So as we learn to release muscles effectively through our somatic movement practice, we also learn to regain control of contracting them. And that feeds really nicely into other work, like strength work, right? Put that to one side for a minute. And if we have muscles in the centre that we have good control of both contraction and release, we have smooth, efficient, responsive, comfortable movement as we go about our day-to-day tasks, our hobbies, whatever it is we're doing, right? So just inviting you to think, well, what would that mean to me? What would that bring to my life to have that kind of freedom in the centre of the body? And there is another huge benefit of learning to sense and contract and release the muscles in our centre. And that is the effect that it actually has on the periphery of our body, legs, arms, neck, etc. So imagine, for example, that you have a pain or an issue or something with your shoulder. And what we would tend to do is if we have an issue in a particular area, we go to that area and we try and work with that area and deal with that, right? But what if we're missing a trick by focusing solely on that part and not on the centre of the body as well? So if you think about it, if you hold tension in your belly, no judgment, a lot of us do. We're a very kind of forward-leaning culture, right? Computers and all. So you hold tension in your belly, and that is also going to lead to some tension in your chest, and that is going to pull the shoulder forwards. If we focus only on releasing the shoulder or working with the shoulder in whatever way, but we don't deal with what's holding tight in the belly, in the centre, we might get some relief or a short-term fix, but those tight belly muscles, that pattern of muscle holding that we have, is soon going to pull us back into that same position that caused the issue in the first place. And we don't want that. Same if you had a problem with, say, your hip, right? Maybe you got some discomfort in your hip and you're holding some tension in your waist muscles, which is stopping the pelvis from moving freely as it can when you walk. And the hip joint is then having to do more than its usual fair share to keep you moving forwards, stepping forwards, right? And then suddenly your hip's realizes how hard it's been working and decides that it's gonna let you know about that, right? If we only focus on the hip, if we don't focus on what we're holding tight in the centre, if we don't free up that movement of the pelvis, then we're going to be limited as to what we can do to help the hip. Okay? And I've used two examples that are fairly near the centre, but actually freeing up the centre has a knock-on effect, like a ripple effect through the whole of the body. So if you've got issues in your feet, you're still going to want to work on the centre of the body as well. So freeing the centre doesn't just help with those day-to-day movements in life that need the centre to be free and working efficiently, reaching, bending, breathing, all of those things. It also helps with freeing up the muscles and therefore the movement in the more peripheral parts of the body. Okay? If you've got issues in your neck, there is almost certainly tightness in the centre, belly, back, sides, wherever it might be. Okay? So, can you get a sense of, if you have any issues in the sort of more peripheral parts of your body, can you get a sense of how holding tension in the centre might be affecting those peripheral parts, and how we need to focus on both in order to get a significant change in the area where we have the issue? So this is why in somatic movement we emphasise working with the centre of the body before we even move out to those more peripheral parts. So we know this work is no magic wand, but over time we can create lasting changes by working on our body system as a whole and learning to understand how this is connected to that and this has an impact on that. And by relearning how to contract and release the muscles of our centre and our periphery at will so that we have more efficient, more comfortable movement, which is what we want, right? Fascinating work. Come and give it a try. We'd love to see you. And just have a go at it and see how you start to get a sense of the connection through your whole system and how changing one thing can help change another. So happy moving, happy pondering, happy exploring, and I'll see you in class. Bye for now.